YouTube, what's going on? It's your favorite MISFIT FM, checking back in. Welcome back to your YouTube channel. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Today is the day for Q&A with MISFIT FM, and I am so excited to get into it. But before we do, a couple things I gotta say. First off, if you haven't, make sure to like, subscribe, and do all the things you can to support your favorite MISFIT on YouTube. Second off, I have other social media channels as well. So obviously, if you're coming from MISFIT Sasuke, my anime page on Instagram, make sure you leave a subscription so you can always see double action of me, whether it's on MISFIT Sasuke or here on YouTube. I always appreciate the support you guys give me. And also, we're on TikTok as well, so check out the TikTok page. It's a little bit of everything. Some of that stuff is anime related, some of that stuff is just related to other hobbies I like. Maybe it's K-pop related, maybe it's related to, I don't know, maybe just some random music I like. I'm all for vibes, and if you're interested in some cool stuff I'm doing on TikTok, go make sure to check out my TikTok page and leave a follow if you like them much. But now that I've said what I said, let's hop into the questions. So how I'm gonna do this Q&A is pretty simple. I'm gonna first start off with a couple questions that get commonly asked a lot that over the years I wanted to kind of address in a fully Q&A video. And then I'm gonna hit you with some questions that you guys asked via Mr. Sasuke on Instagram, where I asked you in a question box, hey, give me some questions, I'd love to answer them. First common question I get a lot is about, hey, what programs are you using to make edits on Instagram? Which is, just I'll get again. So in a nutshell, we're just focusing on the graphic posts, not the videos yet. If the graphics, we're just using Adobe Photoshop. I've been teaching myself how to use Adobe Photoshop since I was in high school. So I was in high school from 2012 to 2016. So from there, you can kind of tell 2012 to now, I've been a decade in with Adobe Photoshop, teaching myself with that. Yes, when I got to college around 2016, I had some classes in it, but realistically, I was teaching myself. I was very inspired by a lot of cool graphics I was seeing at the time in 2012. You know, Instagram wasn't popular yet. Tumblr was kind of the bigger thing. So I looked at a lot of concepts on Tumblr, kind of wanted to understand what were the names of these styles, because graphic trends change over the years. And I was like, hey, maybe I can mimic that stuff. And through a lot of YouTube videos and later half mixture of YouTube and LinkedIn learning, I learned a lot. Keep in mind that this was not easy. The style you see me do now, a lot of graphic posts you guys see me post, and for example, I'll pop one up right up here of a recent post I just did of a deep dive into the 10-tailed beast. If you're interested, go check out the post on Mr. Sasuke. But content like that, if you ask me maybe back in 2016 if I could do that, the answer is no. Because the big misconception is that a lot of the stuff you see, let's say on that graphic you're seeing right there, is basically I make all of it, which is false. I make a part of it. Let's say it's a 70-30 relationship in this case, because a lot of designers obviously are pressed on time. To push out content to meet the quality and the demand they need, sometimes they make assets in the background. So assets are just little objects. It could be, for example, like the globe or the earth rotations, or very aesthetic and pleasing little pieces to your design that you add so that it makes it look more enticing. So for example, that could be also like textures you add, like dust or stuff that gives you more of that grudge effect. Little stuff like that goes a long way. It also helps change the feel of your page, the feel of your graphic, and also makes your life easy so you can make graphics and push them out as fast as possible. In my case, I like to make templates so that I don't spend as much time making a graphic design and making a post so that I can push it out faster for you guys to enjoy. Now, in terms of where I gather my assets from, I've just gathered them over the years from a lot of like free sites that have like these texture package or maybe asset packages that you can download for free. But in a nutshell, even when you don't have the assets package aside, it's always just important to just do research, learn these styles, learn their names, so you know, hey, this effect is called blank, or this texture is called blank. Like, you learn the texture's name, do the research, because not all the time someone like myself will tell you the answers, because sometimes we'll be like, hey, if you're so concerned about it or so interested in it, you will find the answer. But usually I will tell you if you ask me, because I know I hate when sometimes people are like trying to gatekeep certain things. Like, bro, eventually I'm gonna find it one way or another, so you might as well just tell me then. That's how I put it. So primarily for my graphics, it's mainly just been Adobe Photoshop. Also, I always promote programs like Canva or GIMP, which are free programs with payable options if you want to. But these programs are just as similar to an extent. Obviously, Adobe Photoshop has a lot more unique features versus Canva, even with its Pro Edition, or GIMP, even with the paid edition. But these are good learner, beginning level programs that you can use to understand the basics of graphic design and also just making content on social media in general, because they have inspirations you can use, templates you can use. It gives you that leg up. But if you have the money and you're willing to look into Adobe Photoshop, please do. Buy a plan, or maybe buy one off. Do what you think is best for you financially and makes sense for you in the time and space that you have. With videos is a little different. Primarily, I edit a lot of my videos on my phone. For context, I have the iPhone 15. I recently upgraded from iPhone 12 to 15. But essentially, a lot of my videos I edit on my phone because it mainly are just short little reels or clips or edits. Primarily, programs I use it for that. There are a couple. I kind of diversify a bit depending on what I'm trying to do, what's the end goal, the theme I'm trying to make. So in a nutshell, Inshot, great program, great app, love it. It does a lot of cool things. It's like my equivalent to Adobe Premiere without Premiere on my phone. So Inshot's a great app if you're just trying to get some good edits in there. Prequel, if you're looking for some really cool effects, has a lot of them. Yes, it's a payable option because it has a paid thing. Yes, I pay for it, but you don't have to pay for it. They have options for free stuff too. It's just going to be severely limited because they really want you to pay for it. Next up, CapCut is very popular in TikTok. I use it sometimes for some of their templates they offer. It's really sufficient for me personally as a designer for some quick edits to make, push out there in repetition. Also got to give a shout out to DazzCam. If you're just a photographer or looking to get some quick photography edits up and about, it's a really good app that I always recommend as well. So in total, mainly I use Inshot and Prequel for most of my edits, CapCut for some templates I use here and there, DazzCam if I'm taking photos of stuff in person and stuff like that as well. But if we're talking like longer edits, like stuff I do for like YouTube, if I'm editing YouTube videos, stuff like that, I'm using Adobe Premiere Pro primarily, another paid program, I know. In terms of options for free stuff for videos, I'm not the biggest on that. I wouldn't know really a lot of options for that. I would probably kind of digress towards, hey, if you have a phone, which a lot of phones have the editing capabilities with certain apps, like if you just wanted to edit a whole YouTube video on Inshot, which can be done, go for it. It's free. You can do as much as you can. Obviously, your phone needs to have enough space to hold all those files. So keep in mind, my phone holds about 128 gigs. If your phone is holding like 64 gigs and you're trying to edit YouTube videos on your phone, good luck. Cloud services are a thing. Please use those. There's plenty of them out there, so you can not clean up your phone so it has enough space. So trust me on that. All right, let's move on and get to the questions from you guys. You guys are asking me questions, so I'm going to answer some of these. Got them on a sticky note right here, so I'm going to read off the first one. First one says, what motivates you for the Boruto content? This is from Goku saying, if I remember right, you are also Boruto Zero. So what's up, man? Hope you're doing well and live streaming you all right. So in terms of motivates me for Boruto content, because I've seen a lot of posts. Well, not a lot of posts. I think there was one post that I was reading recently from Boruto Raiden. He was talking about how like a lot of the Boruto community like kind of dies out here and there nowadays, as opposed to where it was when the anime and the manga was both pushing out, and how we can always see someone having a post out or a discussion about a theory or something. And nowadays, like the only time you see those people, or even if you see them people anymore of those content creators, is when a new chapter drops, and they'll just drop, you know, their little review of the chapter, and maybe here's a little theory here and there, and then they're gone for like a whole month. To be fair, I do understand that feeling, because, well, if you don't have much to talk about, and if you primarily focus on that manga, you're kind of blocking your content flow. And it's very hard to make more content if your main content only comes out on a monthly basis. So I'm a big fan of diversifying myself. And obviously I make Boruto, Naruto content, and also other anime content. Primarily lately, I think it was Solo Leveling when it was doing its run for its first season. Now season 2 comes out, I think, later this year. But I'm a very multi-fan of anime. But for other people in the situation in the Boruto community, it's kind of harder for them, and I understand that. But in terms of motivation, what keeps me alive to keep going, essentially, it's more discipline than motivation. Because I've always been in the ballpark of you need to be more disciplined in your craft over motivation, because motivation comes and goes. To answer your question, I just enjoy what I do, man. I just love the content. I love making the graphics and the edits. I love hearing people's thoughts on it. I live for the praise, and Not to an extent. Obviously, I don't need praise to keep me going. Sometimes if I'm not getting the praise, I will eventually get it. So I'm motivated for success, and I'm disciplined by thought of failure, because failure is in my dictionary so that I can learn from it. Also be encouraged of like, okay, back to the drawing board, and I'm excited to go back to the drawing board. That's why every time I make a new theme for graphics on my Mr. Sasuke page, because I'm always inspired to make new stuff, because eventually your current theme's gonna die. You gotta spice it up a bit. So I think what the main thing, if you had to take anything from this little spiel, I'm inspired by failure, and I enjoy the challenge of trying something new. Next question asks, do you think Boruto will die at the end? No, I don't. He's gonna be fine. Boruto ain't dying. The final question I got here is a pretty popular one, and it's basically saying, what do you expect to see the Boruto anime return? And also, do you think the Boruto manga will ever go to a bi-weekly schedule or continue with a monthly schedule? Great question. First off, Boruto anime return, unknown. I from what I've read and sources I've seen and talked to, they don't know, and I don't know. In terms of the Naruto anniversary episode, still in the looks. I don't know either. There's the anime in general, we have 0 on, so keep that in mind. I think it's being worked on is the last thing I heard. As far as the manga, I mean, dude, like I think they're killing it with monthly schedule. I don't see them changing that anytime soon. I think they should keep doing that. I made a post about it that literally said like, yo, I'm liking this format right now. If you get banger chapters for a month-long wait, I'm okay with that. However, I do understand some people are like preferring a bi-weekly schedule because, we're trying to be a little greedy because we get these banger chapters. I get it. But I think the quality will definitely be noticeable when you switch from every month to every 2 weeks. So look, I'm okay with not going back to weekly, respectfully. I'm so okay with that. I'm sorry, but like the amount of times I've heard the horror stories about how people are done dirty in that schedule format now back then, there's still many popular manga like My Hero, Jujutsu Kaisen that still do a weekly schedule. But personally, I'm all in the camp of, if I had to say I'm pro artist animator stuff, like I want them to actually have a living outside of just making manga 24 hours, 7 days a week. And I know they're not making an efficient living, but I want them to make a good living enough that they are putting food on the table for their families and be able to go out with friends if they have some and do stuff that you and I do on a normal basis, hopefully. So yeah, I mean, that's my little thoughts on practically all that shenanigans. Boruto anime, unknown. Naruto anniversary episodes, unknown. I prefer a bi-weekly schedule, but I'm okay with a monthly. And they're not switching that. They're making a killing. The ratings are through the roof. They're in the top 10 of any manga list reading weekly. Like it's there's no changing. I'm sorry. And that about does it for me with the questions, and that was all the questions I got. So first and foremost, thank you so much for giving me all the questions. I appreciate you guys. Obviously, like I said, anything I mentioned for programs I've used, the link in the description for your perspective Apple stores or Google Play stores if you have an Android phone, if that program is applicable to your phone. So make sure to leave a like, comment down below any questions you may have more for me for a future another Q&A video that I might do, or maybe I'll pop it up on Mr. Sasuke and answer it over there. Make sure to check me out on all socials. Thank you for checking in. Appreciate you guys. Have a nice weekend, and I will see you in the next one. Laters.